What's going on YouTube? So Infiniti is in the midst of a brand revival right now, and the QX60 is the most important part as the brand's bestseller.
That's right, this bestseller is rolling into its 2027 model year after its big refresh last year.
So, with rivals such as the MDX and Lexus TX, is this the one you should put in your driveway? Let's go ahead and find out. And jumping right in with our spec dump, under the hood of every QX60 is a 2-liter variable compression turbo 4-cylinder engine making 268 horsepower. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, it comes in at 24 mpg combined.
Now, the base price of the QX60 this year is $52,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we'll take it out for a spin to show you the performance, but first we need to go ahead and shut up the hood, take a look at the exterior, and see if there are any changes on the inside.
Now, like we mentioned at the beginning, this did just receive a refresh last year, and part of that refresh was focused up here in the front, making this design look a lot more fresh and matching it with things like the bigger flagship QX80. You'll see that kind of demonstrated with the overall look of the grille here on today's Autograph. We have the lines running all throughout the grille. We have the new 3D logo with illumination, and then a smoked chrome finish which will go across the top as well as down here on the bottom. Now, there is also a Sport which has a different design as well. Now, the headlights were also upgraded, so we've got the new daytime running light with kind of the dash look design. You have standard full LED headlights on all models. They're reflectors for your high beams as well, and then you also have adaptive ability since this is the top-end Autograph. Now, just like with the front, the back did also get some updates last year, including the branding spelled out across.
Yeah, and let's break down some of the individual design touches they have done to give you that classy look. We have the spoiler up here at the top, an exposed rear wiper. We have that Infiniti branding Drew was mentioning, and let's take a look at our taillights. So our taillights are going to be pretty premium. They pretty much go all the way across the back, and then you have your LED brake light, LED amber turn signal, and LED reverse light. I like that everything is fully LED. Dropping down here to the lower fascia, this is a matte black plastic, and the tow capacity comes in at 6,000 pounds, which is very good.
Next up, we have the wheels, where you'll find standard 20-inch alloys across every single trim level. Here on the Autograph, you've got a special design which has a contrast finish, and I think it looks pretty nice overall. You also have a little bit of cladding that goes around the wheel arches as well as the lower part of the body. And then as we move up here to our mirrors, all models will have heating, power folding, and blind spot monitoring. Driver's side auto dimming is on all but the base trim level.
Now, at the side of the QX60, overall vehicle length is 198.1 inches, which is very similar in length to something like the Acura MDX. You have your Autograph branding here, as well as the smoked window surrounds. We also have a two-tone black roof. I really like the way that looks. It spices up the overall design, and that's something that you can't get on the MDX, for example. It's available on Sport and Autograph trim levels. Now, speaking of trim levels, let's talk about your safety systems. So you're going to get all of those active safety features as standard equipment as long as you choose the Lux trim and above. Additionally, you can get things like ProPilot 2.1 for hands-free driving, but just be aware it is pretty pricey. It's an extra $3,000. But guys, there's a really nice interior that we need to talk about, as well as a change for 2027. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now let's move to the inside. First, here is our key fob. We have the typical Infiniti key fob. You have a standard smart entry system and remote start as well. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. And then we can check out the interior for this fully loaded Autograph. Now, last year, what we actually tested out was the sport trim level, but this is another step up, and it gives you some special touches, including these seats. So this is the only trim that will come with the semi-aniline leather. That's a very high-end grade of leather. You can see we've got the quilted design, color contrast stitching, and piping throughout. Feels really soft and supple overall. And you also can get this saddle brown color, which I really am a fan of. As far as the seat adjustments, you always have 12 ways of adjustment with 4-way lumbar support. Memory seats are going to be standard on all QX60s for 2027. And let's go ahead and get inside. And before I get into the rest of the cab materials, I did fail to mention earlier, it does have massaging seats as well on the Autograph. Now, let's look at those materials. So over here, you have more leather covering. You have leather through the center section and leather all across the top there. We have a open pore wood trim, which is going to be over here, and that's actually going to continue all the way across the dashboard. You'll see on this part, it's got the line design. Really nice wood, feels very high quality. Soft touch plastic up there. Quilted leatherette moves through the center section as well as all down through here along the console on both sides. Everything in here does feel well put together and high quality. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start located right here. We did it! And now that that has wrapped up, it's time to officially get into the details of the interior. We'll start with the gauge cluster. 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster, standard equipment on all models. You can change the design, and you can do things such as put Google Maps right there in the middle of the display, even expanding it out to be a bit bigger. You also get a large head-up display on this Autograph trim. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got the latest Infiniti design. It is going to be flat on the bottom, and the Autograph gets a more premium leather wrapping. You have power tilt and telescoping, as well as steering wheel heating on all but the base trim level. Now, interior storage-wise, let's talk about what we have in the console. Pretty decent amount of space, although it is slightly below the dozen donuts required to pass our donut test. It has 11 donuts inside today, but it does have a really nice felt lining. And we have a little bit more storage as well in front of that, of course. So you've got your 2 cup holders. We have a very large center pass-through as well. This is a great spot to put a variety of different things, of course. And then one new 2026 update to this interior here is the fact that we've got the new Qi 2 wireless phone charging pad. So this now is compatible with MagSafe. So what this does is actually kind of magnetize to a phone. If it does have MagSafe and an appropriate case, it'll actually stick there and charge at a much faster rate and helps it keep cooler than the previous wireless phone charging pad. Now, as far as the shifter is concerned, electronic style, pull back for drive, go the opposite way for reverse. When you go into reverse, most trims will come with a 360 camera. As you can see, you get an overhead view as well as active trajectory. Resolution's a little crunchy, and then right there is where you can see the 3D view of the car. Of course, just press that P for park. You have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. You got your drive mode selector right there next to the shifter, and you have a control knob for the infotainment system if you don't want to touch it. Now, moving to the center section with our climate control panel, we have a physical knob here for the main thing, which is just adjusting your temperature, and then the rest of the controls are actually touch capacitive with a haptic feedback, so it kind of vibrates when you touch the appropriate area. It's 3-zone automatic, standard across all models. We also have standard heated seats on all models, and then ventilated seats on all but the base trim level. Same kind of goes for the audio controls, where we have a physical volume knob. And most trims are going to come with a Klipsch premium audio system. We've got the highest end example with 20 speakers on the Autograph. Let's hear a sample. Yeah, audio quality with this system is certainly very strong. It really fills up the cabin nicely, including the special touches of having the speakers in the headrest. Gives you a good 3D surround effect. All right, now we'll take a look at the main infotainment system next. 12.3-inch display. This does have the latest Infiniti software. Nothing is changing this year in terms of this, so you still have Google built in, like Google Maps and Google Assistant, things like that. You also have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Rising above, auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. Autograph adds this digital camera rear view mirror system. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade for the standard panoramic sunroof. That's right, it is standard equipment on all QX60s, and the front panel opens up.
So what about the rear seat area of the QX60? Well, this is going to continue to be a very nice place to spend time. So we're sitting at around 37 inches of legroom, 37.5 inches of headroom. Those are both going to be pretty good figures, although it's not necessarily class leading. I do feel like you have a little bit more space than something like a Lexus TX for reference. Now, of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I do that is so I can get a realistic knee room figure for you. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm 5'9", and we are looking at about 7 inches of knee space. My feet can easily slide up underneath of the seat as well. Speaking of the seats, they slide forward and back a good distance, and they also have the ability to recline a really good distance. So this would be a very comfortable place to spend time on longer road trips. Now, you may notice that we have captain's chairs. They also have the Autograph branding inside of them. I do like that touch. That's standard actually on the sport trims and above. That will also give you this removable center console area. So as you can see, we have the 2 cup holders inside, another storage bin, and you can also remove this if you'd rather have the pass-through. Now here in the center area, we do have our own climate controls. We additionally have heated back seats, and that's actually standard on all but the very base QX60. So that's a nice touch, although there is no seat ventilation offered on this model. 2 USBs down below that. We have a household style outlet as well. And then if you look over at the door trim, we have a really nice door trim. So as you can see, we have the rear window sunshades up here at the top. Lots of leather all through this intersection, some more open pore wood, and then down in the very bottom you also have door storage. Let's check out the third row. In order to get back there, all you have to do is press this button right here, and that's actually going to tilt the seat up and allow it to slide out of the way. As a new father, I appreciate this because that does mean that you wouldn't have to remove a child seat. So that's pretty nice, especially compared to a lot of its competition, which has a worse folding mechanism than that. Now, hopping back here into the third row, this seat is slid most of the way back, and what we're looking at is about 28 inches of legroom and about 35 inches of headroom. Overall, it's not a horrible third row, although it's not going to be as good as some of the class-leading competitors, such as the Lexus TX. That's really going to have a great third row. As you can see, though, with the seat slid most of the way back, I still have a little bit of extra knee room. My feet can slide up underneath of the seats as well. The thing that I'm lacking the most in is the thigh support. I wish they had raised these seats a little bit more off the ground to make them more comfortable. Also, I want to point out, you don't have a middle seat here, so it's just going to be 2 seats here in the third row, 2 seats up there as well, so that means that 6-passenger or 7-passenger seating is your maximum. Now, as far as features, we have 2 cup holders. We also have a USB port over here on the side, as well as vents out of the ceiling, which is a notable feature because the Acura MDX does not have that. The window is going to be pretty decent here on the side, so overall, I'm going to say that this third row is either fit for the in-laws or maybe some smaller adults. Now walking up to the cargo area, we do have a standard power tailgate, all models. If you want the foot activation, though, you have to go for this fully loaded Autograph. Now, let's talk about space. 14 cubic feet is what you can expect behind the third row of seats. 41 cubic feet if these seats are folded down, which, by the way, they are manual folding. However, they do have a little feature I'll talk about in just a second to make that a little bit better. 41 cubic feet right there, and then if all the seats are folded down, you're looking at 75 cubic feet of space. That's going to be pretty good for the segment, although it's not class leading. Once more, the big Lexus TX is the champion of the segment with nearly 100 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Speaking of all those rivals, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. That'll allow you to use a chart where we've gone through and ranked each of the rivals in individual categories such as third row, cargo area, as well as luxury inside the cabin, technology, powertrain choices, and value. And depending on what category is the most important to you, you can see the best options in the segment. So definitely make an informed buying decision by going to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, back to the QX60. As you can see, there are not any handles to fold the second row down, so I will have to go up and do it manually. And now that I've done that, as you can see, we have a flat loading floor. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. It's a Car Confections review after all. We're looking at 82 inches of overall cargo length behind Drew's seating position. He's 5'8", remember. And then behind the second row, about 46 inches of length. Behind the third row, you can expect about 17 inches of length. As far as the width, that's going to be on the smaller side, 45 inches wide. And the height is going to be decent. It's a little over 29 inches tall. Now, let's get our load-in height as well. The load-in height, 31 inches tall. And then if we check out under floor storage, you'll see that we actually have quite a bit of it in actually these nice compartments. So that would really help you sort your groceries and things like that. You additionally have a spare tire, and I'm not done with features because as you can see, we have these buttons over here. We don't have a power folding third row, but we have a power returning third row. So I can actually just press these buttons and have the third row come back up. I kind of wish if you were going to at least put a motor in, I don't know why you didn't just make it fully power folding, but it is just a power return, and that's exclusive here on the Autograph. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2027 Infiniti QX60, and this test drive we'll be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
That was 60 miles an hour. So let's recap a little bit about what we talked about earlier at the spec dump. So the QX60 comes with the 2-liter variable compression turbo 4-cylinder engine, 268 horsepower on board, 286 pound-feet of torque. As far as the power is compared to the competition, it's going to be a little on the lower side overall, but the torque is pretty good. It is less power though if you have one of the ones a couple years old that has the V6 engine, because then they switch to the variable compression turbo 4-cylinder.
Yeah, overall, I think most people will be pretty satisfied with the experience that you get here with the turbo 4-cylinder. However, I will say that personally, we actually lived with a Nissan Pathfinder, so the sibling to this QX60, and that still has the 3.5-liter V6, naturally aspirated. I do prefer that powertrain setup to this, not just for the overall power delivery, but really for the refinement that it delivers as well. This is a little bit on the unrefined side when it comes to certain aspects of this powertrain, so I kind of wish that Infiniti had left it alone with the V6 and kind of went tried and true like the Acura MDX does.
Now, I want to mention something that has changed since the last time we drove the QX60, because we did live with the Sport version not that long ago, but since then they have changed the throttle response with this. So they've basically given this kind of the enhanced tune from the QX65. It's giving everything a little bit more responsive. It's more ready to go. You put your foot down just a slight little bit and you don't have this delay like you had before. We talked about that in our full review. This certainly has helped this powertrain immensely. It really makes it feel a lot more powerful, a lot more ready to go, and more willing.
And let's go ahead and get our sound level reading going 55. 54.3 decibels is what we are sitting at for this Infiniti QX60. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of its main rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And, you know, compared to the rivals, that's certainly going to be a decent sound level reading. It's not, you know, the quietest option that you can get in this segment, but it is going to be pretty solid for the class as well. But what about the ride quality on the QX60? Well, we're just kind of cruising around here in some traffic, and I have to say, very good job, Infiniti, on the ride quality. This model has always had really good ride. It's a, kind of a staple of this segment. If you're looking at TX or MDX, it needs to ride really nicely, and this QX60 nails that. We don't even really have that big of wheels on the outside, even here on the Autograph, so the 20-inch wheels really do not give you bad ride at all. If you hit a bump in the road, it does a great job of soaking it up. Also, these seats are very comfortable, as you would expect from the Infiniti brand.
As far as the transmission is concerned, we've got the 9-speed automatic transmission. This is a ZF transmission, and I'll say the same thing I've said about this and other Nissan and Infiniti products. It is mostly smooth on the day-to-day going around town, but it does have some little hesitations every now and then.
Yeah, and as far as how power is routed to the ground, you have standard front-wheel drive or available all-wheel drive that is standard on sport trims and above. And as far as your fuel economy, that's sitting at 24 mpg for both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive combined. So that's going to actually be halfway decent fuel economy, not too bad on that front. So compared to maybe like the V6 and the MDX, you'll get a little bit of a fuel economy benefit for choosing this turbo 4-cylinder. But what about our slam dunk and airball, our favorite and least favorite element? Drew, why don't you tell them our slam dunk?
For the slam dunk, we'll say it's the interior. I think they've done a really good job with the cabin. This model has always just had a nice luxury feel to it, and nice materials and stuff compared to some of the competition.
Yeah, like the Lexus TX. I think this is a much nicer cabin than that. Now, on the flip side, our airball is going to be the powertrain. We just don't really love this VC turbo. I would have preferred them keep the V6 first of all, and then second of all, compared to a lot of the main rivals, MDX is offering a high output V6 Type S variant, and the TX offers a lot of other variants as well to really give you what you're looking for, if that's excellent fuel economy or more power. And here on the QX60, they just have the one choice, so that's really going to be a big con for this vehicle. Now, the QX60 starts at around $52,000, and you can see the full lineup of prices on the screen right now. This Autograph, of course, is the fully loaded example. We also have option on for all-wheel drive. We're sitting at $66,890 as our base price. We also have quite a few accessories, including pretty steep $2,000 for this paint color. 1545 destination, we're sitting at $72,015. If you're curious as to where it's manufactured, it is manufactured in Tennessee. And if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. You can find all of that on our website, carconfections.com, as well as things like a monthly payment calculator. But what about Infiniti's resale reliability and the warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Infiniti as a brand is rated at 41.2% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 17.16%. Now, it's worth noting that those are going to be on the lower side compared to all brands that we look at. It's lower than industry average, and it is also in line with other German luxury automakers like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi.
Now, we've also done some calculations for reliability. With our combined reliability index and the latest 2026 data, Infiniti is rated below the overall industry average against all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about how all of that is calculated, you can visit our website, carconfections.com. Now, when it comes to your warranties, you have a basic warranty of 4 years, 60,000 miles, powertrain of 6 years, 70,000 miles, and you do also get complimentary maintenance for 3 years. So that is a very good luxury car warranty. Not quite class leading like the Genesis brand, though. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the 2027 Infiniti QX60. If you enjoyed watching this video where we detail some of the 2027 changes, we'd appreciate you subscribing down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and we strive to cover the latest and greatest products, so I promise you won't regret it. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.